Hello, everyone. I am so excited. We are finally back with more Surviving Bloomington content. My name is Drew. As always, I'm here hosting the podcast and recaps for Surviving Bloomington, and we are here for the first discussion about Surviving Bloomington Season 7, which starts on February 22nd. Today, we'll be doing the cast analysis and draft. And joining me, as always, is Steven. Steven, how excited are we to be back talking about Bloomington?
It has been a hot minute, Drew, so I'm very thrilled to be back in the podcast with you talking about Surviving Bloomington. Unlike last season, I don't know what happens. Now you were on set, you know how things played out, but I have no clue. So this means I'm truly pontificating without any sort of idea of what goes down. So this will be fun.
I'm so excited to talk about it. There's a lot of behind the scenes, as there was last year, that we'll get to talk about. Tonight, though, I'm going to be a little on the quieter side. Can't give away too much. Don't want to accidentally spoil.
Well, doing this draft and cast analysis today, we'd be remiss if we didn't bring on some friends. And so, first off, I'd love to introduce Lauren. Lauren is a surviving Reelfoot veteran. She knows how to run an alliance. She knows to make great blindsides, and I'm thrilled to hear what she has to say. Lauren, so good to see you again.
I'm happy to be back. It's been, forever? I haven't done anything since Reelfoot, couple of years now. Sorry about my voice. I've been sick with the flu, much better than what it was, so bear with me. I am so excited to talk some Survivor. Love Casey. Everything that he does is fantastic, so I'm very, very excited to be here and doing this with all y'all.
And it would be a shame not to start a new season without bringing on the winner, who still holds her crown. We don't know who wins yet next season, but our reigning champ is Surviving Bloomington, Rachel. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, I am so excited to, that first little teaser that Casey sent out, I got chills. So I cannot wait to talk about some of these players and can't wait for the premiere.
Yes. Let's get into it. We have a lot of people to talk about. We have 20 people to talk about. So let's just jump right in. The way we're going to format this draft, like I said, it's a 20-person cast. We have 3 people drafting since I know how the season plays out. We're going to determine a draft order. We'll get to that in a second. And we're going to do a snake draft. Each of these lovely people will draft a total of 6 people, which brings it to 18, leaving me with the last 2 people. Whoever they don't pick goes to me, and we're going to go by average placement. So kind of high risk, high reward for me, but they get to make all the decisions without my input. In order to determine the draft order, I have a trivia question about Surviving Bloomington for the group. I want you just to each give me your best guess that you're able to. If you can write an answer on your phone or on a little piece of paper or something, your best guess, the closest person gets to determine the draft order. It is a number. I'll give you 20 seconds to do your answer. How many total votes were cast in season 6 of Surviving Bloomington? The number of total times a person wrote down a name on a parchment. I counted it up earlier today multiple times. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. This does include the vote a juror in. Of course, this includes revotes, extra votes. Anytime a person wrote down a name on a parchment, including votes for the winner. All right, everybody ready for your guess?
I'm ready.
All right, Lauren, what'd you guess? 179. Okay. Steven?
I don't know if you can tell, but I went with 80.
80. Okay, and Rachel?
Okay, I have notes on here, but it's a tiny little 100.
Okay,
and the closest person winning back-to-back Bloomington things is Rachel. The answer is 120. 120 votes were cast in season 6 of Surviving Bloomington.
Are we counting jury votes?
I did
include jury votes.
My brain shuts down with math, completely. That's hilarious.
Well, congratulations, Rachel. So since we are doing a snake draft, the order will go person 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 1, cycling through. So Rachel, who do you want to get first and subsequently 6th, 7th, etc. draft pick?
Okay. Question. My draft is my draft though, right? Like I'm not picking the order.
You're just picking your first person for your team.
You're picking what order you want you, Steven, and Lauren to draft in.
Never mind.
Oh.
And then
okay.
yeah, so do you want first, second, or third pick?
I would like first pick, obviously.
First pick. Okay. Who do you want to have second pick?
Well, Lauren.
Okay.
Let's go.
Steven, she's taken you out before. Are you gonna really let her do this to you?
I'm really feeling the knife in the back already, Rachel.
I really should have had more loyalty.
All right, Rachel, go ahead and lead us off with that first draft pick. Who are you thinking about? Who are you feeling?
Oh, okay. I'm going to say Carlos.
All right, Carlos, first draft pick. Rachel, why'd you pick Carlos?
I've played an org with him, and he is someone that is just so smooth and seems so like you talk one-on-one, and you are this person's best friend. And he just has an energy about him that draws people to him. So I see him as not only going well with one-on-one people, I see him as he's going to be able to draw smaller groups of people and create these alliances that will last. I think it's still a risk, but I can see him going far in this game.
Yeah, Steven, what did you gather about Carlos knowing about his LRG history and from his intro video?
Yes, Carlos has played Surviving Reelfoot twice. He's also played Outlast. Now, his first Surviving Reelfoot, he got cut at the beginning of the merge, but he went deep in both Outlast Season 1 as well as the All-Star Reelfoot season. And frankly, I found his Reelfoot season really impressive with his both social and strategic acumen. So I honestly, if Rachel didn't pick him, Lauren probably would have picked him. I was definitely going to pick him first if I could snap him up like that. I am very excited. And I think one advantage Carlos has is he's coming in, I think, with connections, but he's not so connected that people are like, like the Eric and Taylor radar people have. I don't think people are going to have that for him. We'll see.
Yeah, Lauren, you've interacted with Carlos, I assume, having worked production on one of the seasons of Reelfoot he played. Tell us about Carlos.
Carlos is just so personable. Loving, people gravitate towards Carlos, easy to talk to. I think Carlos has the charm, which can either work really well if people are able to read you very quickly and snap on that, knowing that you could be a threat. It could hurt you right away. If you're able to hide it a little bit, you could go very far with that.
Yeah, Carlos, so when the cast was released, I didn't know anything about who was going to be on the cast before it was released. When it was released and I saw Carlos' face, Carlos was my winner pick preseason. He was one of the 5, 6, 7, 8 players that I knew on the cast before, and I went into the season actively with Carlos as who I thought was going to win. He is really good at thinking a lot and having a lot going on in his brain, but presenting very calm and personable. I thought his little intro segment was really funny because the whole time me and Devontae were behind the camera being like, speak louder. Because that's just who Carlos is. Like, he's analyzing, he's trying to figure out what's going on. I definitely think this is a solid pick. Probably would have been my first draft pick if I was drafting and did not know anything. Okay, let's move on to Lauren for our second pick.
All right, so obviously I've only done one game, which is Reelfoot, but I did a lot of research. I follow the games. I noticed there are 5 Outlast alum on this cast, which is a ton of people. Obviously not from the same season. It's a mixture of season 1, season 2. However, I find it funny, and I'm going to pick this person because I was at the same event as this person and randomly ended up in the same group photo with a bunch of people, and I find it hilarious. So it's just my gut going here, and I just think this person will do well. I'm going with Allison.
Okay, tell us about Allison.
So for me, I picked Allison because super bubbly, in my personal opinion. I think that if Allison's able to get into an alliance rather quickly, would be able to steer people in a good direction, make that group be super comfortable, calm, cool, collected. I also think Allison has a charming personality, such as Carlos. I think Allison is the total package where I think she could do very well, present herself to a jury, speak very clearly at the end. I know, you have to get to the end, but you also have to be able to present your case to a jury in order to win. You can't just get to the end and say, I got to the end. How did you outlast all the rest of your opponents and do better than one or two people sitting next to you?
Yes, I agree, especially about Allison being well-spoken. Allison is someone who I did not know coming into this season. And talking to Allison, Allison scares me. Like, she's so smart and she's so just like calm and able to like communicate what she needs to. She said in her little intro clip, her Meet the Players clip, that her strategy was going to be to hide, but she doesn't think she's going to be able to do that. So being all ready to like pick up on that and pivot a plan before the game, before they even knew what teams they were on, is a good sign, I think, for her, that she's willing to adapt and not coming in with a set plan. I don't know, Rachel, what were your thoughts on Allison?
I've also played an org with Allison, and she's someone that comes off as super loyal. She would be someone that I would want like a one-on-one alliance on. I would know she'd have my back. I don't think she would stab me in the back, but I don't know. I've never actually played an LRG with her, so maybe she would. But she's bubbly, she's trustworthy, she's magnetic. My heart wants Allison to win this game so bad. I know she's had a lot of various placements. I didn't do all the research, but my heart wants her to win, and I hope she does.
Yeah, I could see Allison as being someone with a high placement variety. She gives off the vibes that she either comes in with a plan and like runs it, or she comes in with a plan and just gets overtaken because of her personality being as confident as she is. Steven, tell us about Allison. I'm sure you have all of her background.
To be honest, I don't think I did as extensive research as Lauren did. I recognize Allison mostly from Survival Challenge 2023, I believe, where she gets clipped right before merge. Allison was like number 3 on my pick order, so I think she's a great choice as well. Solid player, lots of experience. I think she is a complete package for her game, and hopefully that doesn't work against her.
Agreed. Well, Steven, you're going to get back-to-back picks now. So go ahead. You told us Allison was your number 3. Is your number 1 still available?
No, one was Carlos, 3 was Allison, but 2, let's go with Danny.
Danny, okay. We all know about Danny. Steven, tell us why you picked Danny.
Well, first, since I was on the season with Danny, I feel like I need to support Danny by selecting them highly in my cast draft. And I imagine if I don't go get Danny now, I probably won't get Danny later. Generally when you think of returning players, there's this target on them because they know the game. But this isn't going to be the case. Yes, people are going to recognize Danny from playing Bloomington the prior year, but as I think Danny astutely says, I don't think Danny's game was damning in a way where people are going to say, we got to get Danny out now. And you look at the rest of the cast, if you're coming for Danny because Danny has past game experience, you're suddenly coming for over half the cast as well. And so I think Danny certainly has the charm and the strategic mindset to do well in this game. I'm really looking forward to some redemption for them too.
Yeah, I think something interesting about Danny, obviously Danny's the only returning player, which is that going to come into play? Because does that really give you that much of an advantage when everybody's played LRGs? Does being the only returning player give you an advantage? I don't know. Who was it that said that they think Danny's the best player here? Somebody said that they think Danny's the best player that they've ever seen, but I can't remember who it was. I don't know. Obviously having played with Danny, Danny's really good socially, I think. I feel like I clicked with them very quickly when we were on a team together. Rachel, I believe, did as well because the three of us were all in the same starting tribe. Lauren, what do you know about Danny?
Real fast. Ryan was the one who said Danny was the best player I've ever played with.
Ryan, that's who it was. Yeah. I don't know if that bodes well or not. Depends on what people want to do with that. Lauren, what do you know about Danny?
So I saw Danny play Survive. And this was about 2 years ago now. Did y'all lose me?
We can hear you now.
You hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember seeing Danny play Survive. Did any of y'all follow Survive? A little bit. So from what I know about Danny, very, very likable. Danny probably, if they progressed any further in that game, they got very far, they would have won that game just because of how much of the likability factor. And so I think if Danny is able to get past that merge stage, that deep threat merge stage in the sense of, where everyone goes for the huge, big gung-ho people right at the beginning most of the time, I think Danny has a chance. But if Danny's not able to really do that, I think Danny could be in some trouble. It's really finding that balance and getting across that line. And a lot of people have to cross that line because otherwise you could just get picked off for being too likable and being a threat further along down the road.
Yeah, and I think what happened with Danny last season on Surviving Bloomington is that it just came down to, in the merge, it seemed like it just came down to, well, whoever has the least connections at this point socially is gonna go. And Danny got sniped out at a tribal where they got literally one vote from me. And it came down to a three-way tie between Danny, Rachel, and Brady, and Danny went out on the revote. Rachel, what's your read on Danny going into this season?
I remember early on in the game in Original Red, I was uncertain about Danny's loyalty. But by that point in merge, I was already dreading, like, how am I gonna vote Danny out? It's gonna be so hard, and thankfully I didn't have to. But so that's kind of similar to what Lauren said, like that's what Danny's going to have to manage. How can Danny make genuine connections early on so they're not just the easy, like random, oh, we're at our first tribal council, no one wants to go. Well, Danny's already played before, so just some random thing. But if Danny can make those connections that can show they will be loyal and trustworthy, they're also amazing at challenges. So that also is a reason to keep Danny on those starting tribes because you want to win challenges so you don't have to go to tribal. Now that gets scary come merge when Danny's still good at challenges. But
Danny last season was like Danny was second merge boot. Danny was second merge boot last season and still managed to pick up an individual immunity win.
Yes, and they had me believing they had never played LRGs before. Like that.
Which is crazy.
What a moron I am. But they were like, yeah, I mean, I just play with friends sometimes. And then like after the season, they're constantly hosting and in games. And I'm like, Danny, why did I believe you? But I did.
No, I think Danny has a lot of upside going in. I mean, talk about the perfect pick from the previous season. I mean, if you pick an early out from a previous season to be the only returner, it's like, well, that's an easy boot. If you pick a person who made it late in the game as the only returner for the next season, it's like, well, they made it far last time. They're an easy cut. Danny's perfectly in that middle where they made the merge. They proved that they were able to do the team thing, just not able to necessarily excel in the individual thing. So we'll see what Danny's able to do. I am very much rooting for Danny. Danny and I are great friends. I am very excited to see confessionals from Danny because I feel like Danny ate up the confessionals last time.
So I get the
Steven,
next pick.
yes, you do.
So let's scroll down and give me Maggie as my
Okay.
next pick.
Tell us about Maggie.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this cast. And I'm trying, and again, we're trying to see who goes the farthest. And I think, given there's some players with some very heavy game experience and are going to be well known, I think that may work against them to an extent. I don't think it's going to be maybe the. And we all are had Carlos, who's played a lot, but I think Carlos is going to be less known than maybe our Erics or Taylors or May. You know, Maggie stands out to me because I like her strategy of like the happy high of coming in, disarming, and just really integrating herself. I think that's going to be really pivotal early on. Maggie, I think, also has some experience as well. So Maggie's not coming in the Surviving Bloomington like fresh first game ever, which again, not a bad thing, but I do think having one game in your belt can be a huge game changer in terms of coming in and playing that second game. And so I like those attributes a lot for her. So I'm excited for how she's coming into the game. And I'm excited for she's played a little before, but not an excessive amount. People are like, we know your whole dossier.
Yeah, Maggie, I believe in game.
And I got Casey's winner pick, one of his too. So
Maggie was also, once the teams were divided up, Maggie was one of my other winner picks. I picked 3 people at the start of the game, and Maggie was one of the. I mean, it was Carlos going in, Maggie, and then one other person. Maggie, I believe I remember correctly that Maggie told other people in game that she had no other LRG experience.
Which I would have too if I can get away with it.
Yeah, and on production, I remember thinking this is Maggie's first game. I feel like I had that discussion with her that like, oh, this is basically her first game. I don't really have a lot to say about Maggie. I think she's super likable. I think she's super approachable. I think she's super chill. I did not know her personally before the game. Lauren, what did you get from Maggie's little intro segment?
So I knew nothing about Maggie, but just the photo alone, I mean, come on, it's a chill vibe. That's what you want. And also, into shuffleboard, puzzling, you need puzzles in the game. Puzzles finish the job, all right? Let's be clear here, folks. If you are down and out in a challenge, but you can finish the puzzle, you win that challenge. So who knows? Maybe this is the person that brings it home for the team, and everyone gets hyped up about that. You want someone to bring it home for the group. So that's all I can hope for here. But I just think Maggie seems, just based on the photo alone, someone that I could easily approach and say, hey, how are you? Let's work together. You know, I don't see an RBF there. Do you? I think it looks fine.
That's hilarious. Rachel, how do you feel about Maggie?
I had her on my list. So I love just looking back at her bio again. Why will you be the winner? Because I'm not a loser. And so, there's like this determination, but also she's funny, right? We know she's going to be funny. And I love working with people that are funny because it makes things lighthearted. It helps keep things, I don't know, less stressful, has a good vibe. So I think she's going to hold her own, and I can see her going at least through the merge.
For sure. Steven, can you scroll down and show Maggie's age again? 31. Maggie's a really good age for this cast. I think this cast. So last season we had, I believe Melanie was our oldest and Brady was our youngest, but it was like in that middle kind of like late 20s, early 30s. There were like a bunch of us like packed in together. This cast is, I think, a little bit more spread out, but I think Maggie still lands kind of in that area where a lot of people fall around like the 30-year-old mark. So I think that sets her up pretty well socially.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how age works in this cast because it felt like I was old last season. So it feels like there's more. There's more spread, even though we had a couple outliers.
I think last season our upper end was a little bit
that were said that I didn't know. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think Maggie's a great age. I think she has the right demeanor. She has the right attitude coming in to like, compete but also have fun. Okay. Onward, back to Lauren.
Steven, can you scroll down for me? Keep going, buddy. Yup. Oh, stop. All the way to the right. I would like to take Ryan, please.
Ryan. Okay, tell us about Ryan.
I know nothing about Ryan. I'm picking Ryan because there's the outdoors right there. But he had to be outside at one point or another, so that gives an uptick in my direction is what I think. What I know about Ryan, sales, could be a yikes. We don't know. Some people are very good at it. Some people are very bad at it. So this is a wild card pick for me. But I figured Ryan would be off the board at some point, so I might as well take Ryan here. What else do I have on Ryan? Ryan says Jeremy Collins. So right there, that tells me you're thinking like a winner already. Jeremy Collins, take it off the board. So that's why I'm picking Ryan.
Yeah, so the night before the game started, I stayed at Casey's house, and Ryan also stayed at Casey's house, and I had never met Ryan before. But that evening before going to bed, there was a solid period of like 1 to 2 hours where Ryan was just sitting and meditating and going over his notes that he wrote in his notebook, writing himself new notes, making sure that he was in the right headspace. Ryan was very focused going into the game. And I feel like he's been burned a lot by his appearance. He said this in his little intro thing that he's tired of being perceived as this jock because he doesn't want to play like that. He wants to play a social game. He doesn't want to play the like jock frat bro game. So I think that'll be really interesting to watch. Rachel, what do you think about Ryan?
I mean, I'm still shook about 2 hours of meditation. That is insane, and
Not like meditation, but like intense focus with like a purpose.
Yeah. No, that is like amazing. Because you do need to be in the right headspace. I mean, you have to be able to stay level-headed even when things aren't going your way or when it's raining all the time. I just think his smile, I'm sorry, but that's just such a sweet smile. And the other thing, he said his hobbies are traveling. So I just feel like people that have traveling as a hobby are flexible and adaptable, adventurous, outgoing, and willing to take risks. And that's what I hope to see with Ryan playing this game.
Ryan's additional comment after reading the no third thing does give me grammar warning signs for him. I do have a question. He mentions like in the little clip we have, Meet the Cast, Savannah stabbed him in the back. I don't know if we know what game that is, but I think that I'm curious how that history will play out in this game if there is some iterative aspect with player relationships.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what game it was, but I think obviously those two had played together in something where Savannah had made it a little further than him and had backstabbed him, but I don't know the exact circumstances. Anything else on Ryan, Steven? Cool. Rachel, you get 2 picks now.
Do you want me to say them both? Or
Yeah, I
whatever?
mean, just make your first one. We'll talk about them and then go to your second.
I'm going to go Jacob.
Jacob. Okay, tell us why Jacob.
Just going with my heart. He's a sweetheart. And as Drew knows, like we've been playing poker together online, very casual. And so it's just been really fun to get to know him. And he's now going in. Was this his second or third? I know he played Outlast.
This was his second major one.
Okay.
Jacob also was not added to the cast until like 2-3 days before the game.
That's crazy. Good choice. But he knows, so he's had enough experience where he's seen what doesn't work and what might work. So he can come in with a little bit more experience. He knows, I feel like he's a very self-aware person. He knows what he brings to the table. He also knows his weaknesses. And I feel like he's a likable person and a trustworthy person. I just think he has an energy or a vibe to him that people would want to go to him, especially over some of these bigger players. Like if I've seen a lot of players and I've seen them backstab and I've seen them go far, I want to make sure I have a good variety of people in my corner, and I would want Jacob in my corner.
Absolutely. I did not know Jacob at all coming into this season. Now Jacob is one of my best friends. I love Jacob. He and I are not similar people, and I think that's why we get along. Jacob is very calm. He's very reflective. He takes time and thinks through decisions. Jacob is going to give you that old school Survivor game. Let's form our majority. Let's be loyal. We're not going after each other until we have to. That's just how he is. He's a very caring, charming person, very approachable, very easy to talk to. He is one of the less experienced players on the cast, and he is a little bit on the younger side compared to some of the cast. Lauren, what was your read on Jacob?
I'm going based on what I just heard here. Love myself an old school player. Kudos to all of them. Such a better game. No advantages, nothing. Bring it back to me. But the other thing noted was did not know that they were on the cast, Jacob. You said 2 days before? He did not know?
Within the week before.
Within the week before. Perfect. So what that tells me is you don't have the ability to prepare for months in advance, knowing that you're going to do this. You don't have the chance to freak yourself out, second guess yourself. You're going in guns blazing. This is it. No matter what happens, it's okay because I wasn't technically supposed to be here anyway. So there's no expectations. And those are the people I like watching play because you're not having that panic going in. Because what do you have to lose? You were probably not supposed to be here anyway.
Steven, what's your read on Jacob?
As long as he knows Survivor better than Blood in the Clock Tower, I have faith in him. I met him the first time last week. A little bit wild strategies coming from him those 2 games, but he assured me that Survivor is more his bread and butter. I'll be curious to see how he's evolved from when I got to see him out last.
Yeah, I know Jacob, like many others on this cast, is a big reality TV fan. He's seen like all the competition shows. I think Jacob's a solid pick. He's physical enough to get through the challenges for sure. We'll see how Jacob does. Rachel, who's your second pick?
Continuing to go with my heart, I have up on Messenger, I looked up my old messages. So Brittany reached out to me before she played. She's another mom, I think similar age, also doesn't do camping, or is not a camper either. And I just love supporting other mamas. So I don't know. I think if she can get her foot in the ground and not be too nervous and make connections, I can see her doing well. I think my only fear with her is if she gets too nervous, because she was super nervous, which is why she's one of the reasons why we were like talking through, what to do, how to get in there. But if she can put her mind at ease, like she told me she would at our last talk, I really see her doing well. And I want another mama to have the crown. So that's why I'm rooting for her.
Yeah, Brittany, I think her only experience with LRGs prior to this, I think she played in like a backyard style, like one day game with family and friends.
Tyler's game. She played Tyler's in Surviving Indiana, Tyler Allen.
Okay, that makes sense.
But that was, as she said, 12 hours, no overnights. It's a lot different. And I don't know her placement in that.
Brittany was really fun. I found her, Rachel, like you said, to be kind of like the same archetype as you. And so getting to be like on one side of the camera with her on the other, I was like, okay, this is great. Because can you imagine if I was the one asking you confessional questions last year, Rachel? So I got to have some fun with Brittany. Brittany, however, we have beef. Because what do you mean Sarah Lucina is your favorite Survivor player? That's wild. I
I can see it though. If you look at Brittany from the very little, I can see Brittany playing similar to Sarah though. Like when I was reading through that, I was like, that tracks from like the very, very little I know of Brittany. I can see her being calm and collected, and I think she's tough. I think she does well in challenges. She's gonna hold her own. She's not like me in that way. She's gonna hold her own in challenges, and I just think she's a strong mama. And I know I've already talked, so I'm gonna stop.
Steven, what was your read on Strong Mama Brittany?
It's interesting when you hear players say, like, I am afraid or intimidated by this other person. She's one of the people that there's a lot of people who mentioned Danny, for instance, and she said specifically, I am intimidated by Danny, the previous experiences and placements, which I feel like it's both important to keep an open mind walking the games, but also acknowledge like this person might just outclass me. The problem is she might be learning this the hard way in the season. There are a lot of players with deep experiences besides Danny. And so she shouldn't be writing Danny off when there's a lot of people with really strong pedigrees as well. So I hope that doesn't bite her.
Yeah, I think my only worry with Brittany alongside that, because that's a good point, Steven, that I hadn't thought about, is her like kind of already looking at Danny, but not these other people, because she doesn't know. Brittany's not like particularly connected with the community. My other worry with Brittany is, does she have that killer instinct?
It's just like Sarah Lucina. It'll be fine.
Well, Lauren, what are your thoughts?
I'll take over your well for you. So Brittany does triathlons. All right. That's a check in one direction right there, because you have to be fit. You have to have a mindset to be able, I can complete this. I'm able to do this. And that's what you have to go into an LRG saying to yourself, it's going to be tough. Triathlons are tough. If you can get through a triathlon, you probably can have a decent success rate at this. My only concern, as we've talked about here, are you going to have that killer instinct to pull that trigger? I don't know if Brittany can. I hope you prove me wrong, but I think you're a little too sweet for me. I think you are. So prove me wrong. Show me you are ruthless.
Yeah, Brittany would definitely be the one who, so for me, this is a me thing. When people are like too nice, I feel the need to like lovingly pick on them. And last season, that was Rachel. You can ask Rachel anytime the cameras weren't on at camp, I was picking at her so much. And that is like how I show my love for people. It just is. And Brittany would definitely be that person for me on this cast. I just love her energy, even though it's nervous energy. I just love her. I love her so much. Rachel, looks like you're going pretty blue team heavy here. All three of your picks have been on the blue team. So we'll see if she sticks with that. Lauren, so far your two picks have been red. Are you sticking with red or going blue?
As if you think I'm actually paying attention to that. I'm literally just looking at a list.
I love it.
Listen, here's the thing. You can't really focus on that too much because there could be a swap. Something can happen very quickly. You just don't know. That entire tribe could win every single challenge. We have no idea. Do I know what tribe this next person is on? Absolutely not. And right now, I really don't know who I'm picking, but I'm just going to pull it down. Let's keep on scrolling. Stop, actually. Yep, that's the row. Give me Eleanor.
Eleanor is my third winner pick.
Give me the bartender. Here's the thing. Bartenders, personable. They talk to some asshole people. You have to deal with that stuff. So mind you, you are out there with random people, different backgrounds. You might not get along. You know how to deal with some of those people. You can adapt your situation and be able to say, you know what? I know how to stay calm, cool, and collected because I deal with it at my job. This is a job. I'm here to win. That's why I picked Eleanor.
Yeah, I think Eleanor can take some of these big personalities and just run circles around them without them even knowing. She comes off really strong. So I think people like Eric or other big personalities would gravitate and be like, yeah, doesn't Eric bartend on the side too? I don't know. But
Eric bartends.
I can see her. People think like, oh, I'm just going to pick up Eleanor, or I like talking to her. She'll be, we can work with her, and I can just see her running things.
So Eleanor is one of the few on the cast who's never played an LRG before. She is connected to Bloomington because she and Devontae are very close friends. So Devontae kind of got her looped in on that. And when I arrived to the game site, when production was supposed to arrive, Eleanor was already there. She was the only contestant already there. She was ready to go. She met every single person as they were coming in. She has this combination of energy that's like chill and bubbly at the same time, which is very difficult to explain. But yeah, like I said, she was one of my. Once I saw how the teams were divided up, I was like, Eleanor, I've got my. I see you. I see what you are capable of doing. Very athletic, and I think she could do well. Steven, what are your thoughts?
I liked her statement of not playing dumb but playing down. I think it'll be interesting to see if she can use that to her advantage, but I hope that she is able to realize and pivot and change things up if need be. I'm coming back to Little Matt last season. Was like he was so stuck on like I want to be the last local standing, and then it ends up kind of biting him because people are just like, yeah, we can let you go when it gets to that horrible vote out in the rain. And so I hope I like her plan. I hope she's nimble and can pivot if need be.
How do we think coaching from Devontae may play out for Eleanor? Because like I said, that's her only connection. I do recall having a conversation with her that she used to watch Survivor, but otherwise the only reality competition shows that she watches are like her words, like the trashy dating ones. So I don't know how that's going to translate, but those types of personalities are the ones that I love. So,
Hey, Devontae did a great job coaching Marshawn. Surely it'll go well here as well.
You also have to think about it. We see all the time on the actual show, some of these people have no idea what the show is. And they end up being some of the best characters, some of the best players at times. So you just never know what you're going to get.
absolutely. And I think that Eleanor's definitely social enough and physical enough to at least do the basics of Survivor. Let's go to Steven. Back-to-back picks again.
Oh, I feel so special. All right. I think let's start off with Francis as my first of the next picks. You know, this is partly influenced by Jamie. Jamie and Francis are friends. Jamie is very high in Francis, so I'm kind of riding off that as well. I appreciated that they acknowledged that like, hey, in their cast assessment, like there's a lot of pre-game connections, and kind of you can tell they're already kind of sussing it out. And so I know if Jamie's high in a person, I can be high in a person. So therefore, I'm selecting Francis, and fingers crossed, Francis goes deep.
Yeah, I think Francis is a personality that we need on this cast because this cast has a lot of like up personality, and Francis is very grounded. I tend to find she's very realistic. She's not gonna be like what's it even called? She's not gonna be like a negative Nancy, but she's not gonna be positive Penny either. Like she's gonna be the one who's like, guys, realistically, this is how it is. And I love that for Francis. I believe she's connected to the community because she and Casey played a game together and they went all the way to the end and then Casey beat her, which is why we get the comment from her in her like intro video that she's excited to play because Casey's not playing, so Casey can't beat her. I know Francis is, of course, really good friends with Jamie. Francis was also somebody that I was like, the same kind of thing that I was saying about Brittany. I'm like, you're too nice. I need to pick on you a little bit. And Francis gave it right back to me. So she will play ball if necessary. It's just, is this the cast for her? We'll see. Lauren, what do you think about Francis?
I like hearing anyone that wants to play ball. If they can give it back, it gives me a show. So Francis, video games. All right. So one of two things that can come with it. I'll bring it back to Mari and millennials versus Gen X. Mari,
No
I
winner
thought was
pick.
going to do very, very well. Oh boy, did it not go well. So I just think if you can separate yourself from a video game, not be in the video game, but maybe have the strategic mindset of being one of the people navigating that video game, navigating the pieces, the other people, however, having the personal skills to bring them into your alliance, making them feel comfortable with you. I'm excited to see how this turns out. I think could be a very entertaining confessional person. As you said, Drew brings it back. I love those type of people.
Rachel.
The only thing I knew about Frances originally was that she was in an alliance with my best friend Hannah in an org called Ecstasy, and I think got a little bit further than Hannah, though I don't know how far. And so anyone that's going to be number one with my BFF, I'm rooting for.
It seems like that's the common thread here. I'm like, oh, I love Francis. They're friends with Casey. Steven's like, I love Francis. They're friends with Jamie. Rachel, I love Francis. They're friends with Hannah. So listen,
But Cash loves Francis. That's what
that shows that Francis is able to build social relationships that last. Exactly. Everybody loves Francis. This is a good sign for Francis. Yeah, I'm interested to see, because this is only Francis's second game, how that lack of experience compared to others will go. I also know that Francis now hosts their own game. It's a one-day game. Yep, there we go. The Francis franchise, which I believe is like 1 or 2 day games that she hosts, and that has been a recent development, I believe, post Bloomington. So definitely interested to see specifically what Francis gives in confessionals. But with that being said, Steven, who else you got?
Okay, I'm skipping my number 5, 8, and 9 to go because I want Eric on my team. I'm taking Eric. I know all the risks this involved, but how can I say no? First, he fundraises like a madman. He's walking the game wearing a tutu and temporary tattoos. He's giving everything all in, and he makes electric television. And I am very excited because, here's what I'm excited for. I think Eric is a great game player. I mean, you watch him from Outlast to Survivor Pennsylvania to, I'm sure, how he's playing now. Like, he can do it all, and he is so charming that I think he's going to bulldoze his way through things. Now, here's the concern. He's going to be on everyone's minds, right? You even look at the people's discussion leading in. He is on everyone's minds, right? Which could be good, could be bad. Furthermore, he's on everyone's minds with Taylor, and those two, this is like their third game playing with each other. Yeah, they're on separate tribes, thank goodness, which I think they need that breathing room. But I think likely, and we've heard some people saying he could be a target just because he's probably walking in with some of the most connections of everyone around. Though I think he's not looking to use them or leverage them. I think he's looking to kind of start fresh and see what comes. So I'm here for Eric. I'm really hoping he has a good run, because that's going to make your and my job, Drew, much more entertaining when getting the podcast about these episodes. So I'm here for Eric.
So, couple things about Eric. Number one, like the day before, or like 2 days before, he got out of another LRG, which he played with Gibble and Mira. So 3 people on the cast all played together, like it ended like a couple days before. So there's very fresh either friendships or whatever else may have become that will be discussed and brought up in episode 1. I know for sure. Eric terrifies me. I would dread playing in a game with him. If I signed up for an LRG and got there on game day and Eric was on the cast, I would be unwell, because he is so unpredictable. And he's so forward with his gameplay. I don't know how to think about Eric. I think he's definitely a high highs and a low low player in terms of placement. We'll see how he does here. As for me, he terrifies me. I don't know. Rachel, what do you think?
I think he is so confident, and I have like zero self-esteem. So when I like just see someone that's like, yeah, I'm good, I'm like, I don't know that. But I mean, it clearly works for him. I think it's helpful to have self-assurance in a game and know who you are. He knows his strengths. He knows he's gonna have a target on his back. How is he going to navigate it? Probably really well, because he's good at these things. He already had. Did he win the? Did he raise the most, or do we not know for sure yet?
I mean, this is so, Stephen, you can look up these things, but
Okay.
people were also allowed to give physically the day of. That's not an
Or
answer
Venmo,
that
right?
I am going to
Okay.
give unless
That's okay.
Casey pops into the chat.
We can save it. But I'm just saying, like, he has a good chance of having safety the first time he goes to tribal, which gives him time to work his Eric magic. And I mean, he'd be terrifying to play with, but he'd be really fun to play with too. So
Yeah. I mean, another thing about Eric is he did this whole fundraising thing where it's like you could pay for a temporary tattoo, you could pay for an outfit, you could pay for like a shout out, a brand sponsorship, like all like throwing challenges, like all these crazy things are wild to me. Like and like what Rachel was saying, the confidence is to me terrifying, regardless of if it's real or fake. Mind you, I speak with full confidence at all times, even if I have no idea what I'm talking about. But other people doing it, unacceptable to me. So, Eric, I'll be watching. We'll see if this works. Another big thing before we get Lauren's opinion. So, Eric mentioned he's getting his master's in what is it? Game something? Not game theory. Like not game development. He's getting basically his degree in running Survivor. And so he has the education at minimum to do what he needs to do. It's just, can he actually apply that? Lauren, what do you think?
So Eric was going to be my next pick. Now, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, is the one that said the pet peeve is boring LRG players, correct? There it is. Boring LRG players. Now, listen, that is a bold statement if you are planning to play another game, Eric. Oh boy, but I love the sass. I love the confidence in that. But, sir, you best not be boring delivering your confessionals, is all I can say. Now, to add to that, I think Eric, oh boy, I'm predicting, don't be mad at me, I'm predicting a pre-merge for you just because of the crossover of how many people you have interacted with, potentially have played with, past experiences, and the fact that you come into a game just coming off of a game, that really could hurt you. I don't know how people do that. How do you guys get off from work for that? I just don't have the time to do that. It's crazy to me, but I'm here for it. I'm happy you're on the cast. Excited to see what you do, but bring it in the confessionals. That's all I can say. Excited to see you play, especially another person that played Outlast. Outlast is an incredible game too. So kudos to see you out there.
Eric was really fun in confessionals because he was the only person on the entire cast who, when I walked up to and was like, hey, we're doing a confessional, he was like, cool, we're doing it here. This is the angle you're shooting me at. Like, I'll walk into frame, and then, like, if you could zoom out at this time, I'm like, okay, that's great. I don't have to actually do my job. You just tell me what to do. That's great.
one more thing about Eric. I know time's getting a little out of hand, but one more thing about Eric is people know him enough. Like, it's like, do you want to play with the enemy you don't know or the enemy you do know? You know Eric. Why not keep it along? Like, if you can contain it, why not keep him for a while?
Because sometimes you keep them so long and then you can't get rid of them. That's where they end up winning the game.
This is very true.
All right, Lauren, who's next?
I'm already up again. Wow. Oh boy.
We got 3 people left on blue and 7 people left on red.
All right, you know what? I'm going to go on bottom row here. And I'm going to take Zach off the board.
Tell us why.
Honestly, I love the photo. It's perfect. But no, regardless of that, I'm picking Zach because actor, restaurant manager. I think when you have restaurant manager experience, as we talked about with bartenders, you deal with everything on the reg with various different types of people. Acting too. Listen, an actor can sell a great lie. If you can sell a great lie, you can go pretty far in these games at one point or another. It just depends. And I just think great smile there, great pose, positive energy is what I'm seeing. And I love positive energy in games, and I'm rooting for Zach. So go Zach.
Yeah, Zach. If I had to describe Zach in one word, it would just be energy. He has so much energy. He's always up in the best way, not in a bad way. He's super positive, super bubbly, very good conversationalist. He hosts his own Survivor game that he's hosted multiple seasons of. I believe they're one-day games that he's hosted like 10 plus seasons of. So he knows the game. Zach just has this like mix of energies and like interests. Yeah, Survivor. Um, Zach has this weird mix of energies that's like Survivor super fan and like theater kid. Like he's very theater kid vibes, but like not in a negative way, because we all know it can be in a negative way. But I love Zach. Steven, what do we think about Zach?
I'm glad he's here to have fun because he'll get right along with Eric and the Fun Police. There's like underlying current of players like I'm here to have fun, and so I'm excited to see Zach as one of them.
Rachel, what were your thoughts on Zach?
I love theater. I love a good show. I'm interested to see, he says his pet peeve is big egos, and that could create some interesting friction.
Well, there goes him working with Eric.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying there's a big personalities, not just Eric. There are big personalities on this cast. And will they annoy him? I don't know. If they do, will he still work with them? Time will tell.
We will see, indeed. Rachel, while you're chatting with us, who's your next pick?
I'm very torn about my next pick. I am going to go, speaking of maybe some bigger personalities, I am going to go with Mira. It's a risk because I would be a little scared to play with Mira, but I've watched Mira play. And even though she comes in with experience, people are still drawn to her. People still want to work with her. She's gonna cause some drama. I just know it. And hopefully it will be in a way that helps move her forward in the game and not make her someone that gets cut too soon. She also played the Mole Ohio, which I helped host twice. So I do have another, again, I'm choosing with my heart with this draft.
Yeah, Mira has played quite a few LRGs. I know she's played the Mole Ohio. She's played a couple of the challenge games, a couple of other Survivor LRGs as well. She's one of the 3 who played. It was her, Gibble, and Eric who played the challenge a couple of days before Bloomington filmed. So she has those connections, whether they be good or bad. Mira is someone who speaks very matter-of-factly and knows what she wants. And I love that. I mean, I'm the same way. So I respect it. I appreciate it. I would also be scared to play with Mira. She scares me. Steven, thoughts on Mira?
I was very impressed with their challenge performance in the most recent Mole Ohio season, especially the puzzle challenges. So I think she will be a very good linchpin to whatever team she's on, which in this case is going to be the red team, Camp Hospitum.
Lauren, what do you think about Mira?
I mean, in the bio, it says dodgeball. You're not afraid to knock somebody out. So let's go. Like that's the formula right here. You have to be able to take people out to get the W, baby.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. I also think it's really fun that Mira is here to sort of prove to herself and to other people that she's able to take on something like this. She's been on this journey that she tells us about, losing over 100 pounds in a year. Congratulations. I am so excited for the opportunity for Mira to prove to herself that she's able to do something like this. And with that, Rachel, you're up again.
Okay. These two, my next two, these are with my gut, not my heart. And my first gut is going to be Joel.
Joel, we love Joel. Tell us why Joel.
Joel. See, my gut, not my heart. I don't know him at all. Joel. I don't know. That's my gut. I liked his intro video. I like what I see in his bio, and that's all I've got to say. Gut, totally gut.
So Joel is really good friends with John V from last season. Joel is also really good friends with Taylor. I know Joel has played several other games, but I don't believe has been able to clinch a victory yet. I feel like everything I hear about Joel is that he tends to go out mid-game. But Joel is super approachable, very personable, very outgoing. Also, love him because he's studying to be a pharmacist. So, like, whoop, whoop, that's my field. So I felt obligated to root for Joel, pharmacy to pharmacy. Lauren, tell us about your thoughts on Joel.
I love Joel's vibe. I'll tell you that right now. Now, I am questioning. I want to know, JD Robinson from Survivor 41, is that what we're comparing ourselves to here?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yes, this is, thank you. I just needed to confirm real quickly. So, my confusion lies, are you going to be giving your advantages away? Because if so, Joel, no, do not do so. That's where I'm going to have an issue. However, I think you would be someone I would come and say, let's rock this. Just because the charm, the smile, you seem super approachable, but do not give away any of your advantages. Do not, no.
Well, Joel also said that his strategy was to be friends with everyone. So anytime somebody's voted out, he can basically be like, it wasn't my fault, they did it. Steven, what are your thoughts on Joel and his strategy?
I mean, it's never a bad strategy to be everyone's friend and to be socially integrated. It's just then you get to make the hard decision of which friend do I cut next, which works until it doesn't work and can make the jury mad at you. I think one way to view maybe the conclusion of last season was Tyler and John put a lot of their friends in the jury and they weren't happy. So I'll be curious to see how it goes. I know Survivor Pennsylvania, that was a weird starting tribe for him. So hopefully he gets better footing this season.
Yeah, one thing he mentioned was that he's never been able to, clinch it. So we'll see if this is his time. Lauren, speaking of times, it is your time.
It is my time. We're down to the nitty gritty. I have 2 picks left, right?
It's true.
All right. You know what? Take May off the board. Give me May.
All right. Tell us about May.
Well, what is there not to say about May? My goodness. All right. So here's the deal. May can be a firecracker. May can be ready to go. There's going to be controversy. There has to be. There cannot not be. And that's what I love about May. May is unapologetically herself, which I love in a person. But, oh, dear Lord, please stay low at the beginning. My goodness, I need that. I need that from you. Because I think if you lay low, you will do very well. You can be very personable. You can be very likable. And I'm excited that you're on this cast because I have not seen you in a while. And I'm rooting for you. And I hope you do very well. So I'm very excited to have you part of my team. Queen May, as Casey says, good luck to you and bring the fire. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I was really excited to see May on this cast because the only other thing, I know she's played other games. The only thing that I personally had seen with her in it was Reelfoot. I know she's done the mole, she helps run a game. She is an LRG icon. She is. I think that May has a lot of strengths in these games. She's able to lead groups. She's able to rally people together. May also has some weaknesses. And I feel okay pointing this out because I have the same weaknesses. And that's that some people just don't like us. Like some people, there are just certain personalities that like people don't vibe with. And I have that sort of personality. May has that sort of personality. Will she be able to use the knowledge of that to influence her game? We'll see. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to the strategy. It's just, is she going to be able to execute? Stephen, what are your thoughts on May?
May, one thing I love about your bio, at the very, where is it? Somewhere it says like, I haven't played an LRG in a while, and I'm excited to get back out there and discover my skill. And I find this funny because May played the Reelfoot All-Star season, but let's be honest, May was gunned down that season. Like that, May did not have a fighting shot. So I'm very excited to see May come in, kind of a fresh start, because I think May is one of the players that might be in trouble because May will be likely more recognized. But again, I think Eric and Taylor make great shields to hide behind, and I hope May makes the most of them.
Right, and that's May mentioned both of them and was talking about, well, if I'm on a tribe with both of them, I'm going to do this. If I'm on a tribe with just Eric, I'm going to do this. But she doesn't mention what she's going to do if she's on a tribe with just Taylor and not Eric, and that's the situation she ended up in. So that's very funny to me. Rachel, what are your thoughts on May?
I played the Bowl Ohio my first season with May, and I got out third that season, and it's not on YouTube or anything. But I kept trying to connect with May, and I could not. And I don't know what her strategy was in the season.
May,
but
Rachel doesn't like you, is what I'm hearing.
No, will you let me get through this, Drew? What I am saying is, I don't know who she worked with in that season. I felt like she worked mostly with herself, and she was very, very smart. Like she had her notes. Like she's a very, very smart person that has just like a high awareness of the game. And if people find out that how smart she is, they might be intimidated. But hopefully, like I agree with pretty much everything Lauren said about laying low and building some of those genuine relationships, and hiding against maybe some other bigger characters. Also, I'm a little scared because if I was playing with May in Survivor, I would be snoring and she would vote me out because that's her pet.
Correct. Yeah, so I met May because she was on production this season of Reelfoot that I played. And after I was voted out, I was choosing which room to sleep in. And I walked into the room and only one of the beds was claimed and it was her stuff. And I was like, oh, do you mind if I sleep in here in this other bed? And she said, you're not allowed to sleep in here if you snore.
She knows what she wants. She's going to get it. And she wants this win. And maybe she'll get it.
Yeah, I also think May has had a string of not great LRG placements recently, and I actually think that does help her because she's so known and people know that. And she's aware of that. I think May has a great head on her shoulders. It's just more so up to, is she going to gel with the cast and be able to get her claws in and do what she needs to do? And she knows what she needs to do. Stephen.
I'm getting the fifth person on my list right now, and I'm very thrilled. Give me Savannah.
Savannah. All right. Tell us why.
You know, Savannah is a player that's coming in with experience, but I don't think it's going to be overly burdensome experience. Now, granted, Ryan and Savannah may have something that gets worked out during the course of the season. I hope it doesn't come back to haunt Savannah, although They also start the same tribe, so maybe this is all a really bad plan. But I'm excited to see Savannah's skills. She's made it deep. But I think this could be her shot. She's ready to kick some booty, as she said.
Yeah, Savannah is somebody who I knew nothing about coming into the season, but meeting her, she's extremely personable. She is a good conversationalist. I know she knows Survivor. It's just, again, I think she mentioned, like, if I make it to the merge, I'll win. My issue is just making it to the merge and getting through that early merge portion. And I think she has the type of personality that will set her up to be a threat at the early merge. So if she can push through that, I think she has a good shot at taking it. Rachel, how did you feel about Savannah?
Her favorite Survivor player she's most like Carla. And Carla is a very well-rounded player. I love watching Carla play, so I'm gonna love watching Savannah play.
And Lauren?
Oh, and iconic photo. Sorry. Look at that. I mean, come on.
It's a fun photo.
It is. It is very fun. I like the photo as well. I think Savannah's going to be fun. That's what it draws down to at this point. Now, I will say the pet peeve is people standing too close in line. Now, on a real actual day, outside of the jungle, outside of the woods, I would say, yes, I'm with you. But boy, be ready for people to stand close to you in these games because they want to huddle with you when it's cold, or they want to be close to whisper when it's time to make a strategy. So I'm pumped. I think there's a good vibe here. Savannah was still on my list as my potential next pick if it came to me. So, Steven, there you go. But here's the thing about this entire cast. I think you could make a reason to pick each and every one of them on this cast. It's a very diverse cast. It's a very iconic cast. So I just want to say, if you are not picked here by all of us, Drew's got you, because Drew knows, and he's gonna say how stupid we all are if we don't pick you.
I'm not pressed. Y'all do what you want. I will champion who I'm left with happily. Yes, at the end, Surviving Bloomington, I'm assuming Casey just left a message. We'll mention that briefly at the end. We have 5 people left up for grabs. We have Drew, Gibble, Mariah, Taylor, and Trace. So, Steven, lead us into the final round of picks. All right, Mariah,
we have to talk with the elf in the room, or the CBS Survivor player on the cast. I think all of us were likely nervous selecting Mario because if you're thinking about like the prestige of headhunting and taking out a Survivor player, this is your opportunity, right? And so Mario, I think, is taking a risk being on a cast and just having people just take her immediately because like she knows too much. She is too good. However, this is not her first rodeo. She's played North Myrtle Beach. She's played the Surviving Indiana, and now she's coming in for Surviving Bloomington. And so she knows what she's doing, and she's hungry for the win. And so I'm really excited to see her play. I'm hoping she has the opportunity to spread her wings. And so I think the most nerve-wracking will be the first round or two. But given there's so many people with experience who have played games before, the argument of like, she's already played, let's get her out because it's our turn, that's not going to fly. Because you're looking at this cast like, well, yeah, most of these people here have played something before. Like, Mario isn't unique in this. And furthermore, it's not like you're putting Boston Rob in the game. Mario, because like she had a shorter stay in CBS Survivor, it's going to have a lower threat level as a result of that. And so I really want to see Mario go far. I think it'll be really cool to see if that happens. So I'm rooting for you, and I might be mispronouncing her name constantly.
Yeah, it's Mariah. Yeah,
Mariah. And I've spoken to her on Skype as well. I just never said her name clearly. I suck. All right, someone else talk. Save me for myself.
Yeah. So Mariah, I know, was very not nervous, but like anxious coming into the game because obviously she's been on the CBS show. But she also has LRG experience. Like she's played 2 of these other games before, and she recognized her flaws in those games. That she said, "I need to move faster. I need to form these alliances, and we need to do it." And that's how sometimes you need to play these games. It takes a lot to be self-aware, but having a couple of LRG's worth of experience, I think she's got that self-awareness. Lauren, what's your read into Mariah?
So I was that person where I looked at the photo and I said, I recognize this person, but where from where? And I'm doing my research and going, was this person on Survivor? And I didn't want to bring it up here because I didn't want to be the moron that got it wrong and confused myself. So I just, let it be because I didn't get any information in the bio. So what was I supposed to go with? Now that I officially got the go-ahead here, I'm excited to see Mariah. Let's go. I think it's a fresh start, a new opportunity. Had I been out there, I would have said, I recognize you from somewhere. No clue where you came from. Can't remember. So I think there'll be a lot of people such as myself that say, all right, it doesn't matter. And here's the thing, though. Just because, as we said, you played on the actual show, every cast, every interaction is different. You could do poorly with one group of people, but excel with a different group of people. So I'm very excited to see what Mariah does here.
Yeah, I think so, because there's been a fair amount of Survivor players who played Survival Challenge, and I feel like what I've heard is the most effective is like the Survivor players who lull or lure players in with their stories and experiences, and people kind of get sucked into orbitation. I'm thinking like Adam Klein just really, really did a number on all the newbie players this season. So maybe she's gonna pull that off. I'm not sure. We'll see. Rachel, any thoughts?
I was just thinking she was gonna be she was on my list for draft, but I was just thinking like if I'm playing, I would want to keep her around. Like, how cool to play with a Survivor player. Like, maybe that's probably not the best reason, but I could see, like, why not keep her at least till merge?
And I think that makes sense from all these other fans wanting to keep around a CBS player.
Right, and as a fan, but then that gives her a lot more space to build true alliances and connections so people want to actually play, not because she played CBS, but because she's someone they want to work with and go far with.
Yes, keep her the merge. Give me a better average boot order for my team. Do it.
Yes. Another thing about Mariah is she is a mom. She, a big thing for her, I believe one of her children is autistic, and she does a lot of work and help into the autistic community with like helping with that sort of like fundraising, that sort of thing. And Mariah is our second oldest person on the cast, despite not looking like it at all. She's like 50 years old, and she looks my age. I'll just say that. She has mom energy, and not in a way that's like weak. She has very strong motherly energy.
Like weak mom energy, Drew.
That, you know what I meant. Like, she's not going to be stepped on. She's not going to sacrifice herself for her children in the game. Like, she is going to lead the charge. And I think it's just really cool that we have a CBS player playing Surviving Bloomington. Like, that's just really cool to me. Anything else on Mariah? If not, we'll go to Lauren. Lauren, you got 4 people to choose from. You have Drew, Gibble, Taylor, and Trace.
I just need to see the photos. That helps me. Okay. Taylor, Sam. Oh, yeah. Give me Trace. Loving the photo. Give me Trace. Look at that energy. How can you not love that right off the bat? Smiling. That's what you want. That's approachable right there. No, but anyway, what I saw with Trace, motorcycle. It's perfect. Riding dirty with those motorcycles. But again, what I'm saying is if I'm looking at people's facial expressions alone, that is someone I would go up to and want to interact with, want to get to know. What do you do? Where do you come from? Where are you from? All this and that. And so I think Trace has all the energy that I could want in a person. The pet peeve is bad drivers. Well, that wouldn't work too well for you, buddy, because I am a very bad driver. That's why I really don't drive. Also, I can't see at night, so I can't drive in darkness. So I can only do daylight. But however, I can let it slide. If you can let it slide that I picked you, Trace. So very good luck to you, Trace.
All right. It says Trace likes antiquing. So he's got this like cool motorcycle vibe, but he also got the casual Sunday antiquing vibe. And if you are a true antiquer, Trace, then you know there's a hunt to that, which might give him an advantage in finding some extra goodies that out there. Maybe an advantage, maybe an idol, maybe a key or 2 or 3. If he's a true antiquer, he might have the extra advantage in that area of finding something good.
Yeah, so this is Trace's first ever LRG. He's connected to the community because he is really good friends with Nina from last season. So the whole time we're filming, Nina's asking me like, "What's going on with Trace? What's going on with Trace?" So that was really fun. Trace has a very magnetic personality. Again, very down to earth, very easy to converse with. I think it's always fun to watch first-time players figure out how they're going to play. And I think you can tell kind of in Trace's intro video that he doesn't really have a plan, but that's okay. Nobody has a plan their first time, or at least one that they can stick to, because you don't know what you're going to experience until you experience it. Steven, what's your read on Trace?
That was kind of my take as well. As I was like, I'm not quite sure how he's going to approach the game or what's going to happen when the game begins, like how he reacts. And I think he's one of the players that's going to really benefit from that extra full day of no vote outs. So kind of having that more time to kind of get his ceilings beneath him.
Awesome. And I guess with that, we have our final active pick of the game, and then we'll talk about our last two. Rachel, who is your final pick? Is it Drew, Gibble, or Taylor?
I'm really struggling with them because there's like the statistical in that Taylor's gotten so far. She would be good for my draft. I'm like fascinated to see her play Bloomington. But my heart is saying I want little Grandpa Drew. I think he's a grandpa. He's like Eliza's pop is his handle.
He does have grandchildren.
So I've got a mama. Why not a grandpa on my draft? I think with a lot of big personalities, it could be nice to have someone more stable and calm, consistent, someone you can really trust. I think if he can get to the merge, he's got a pretty good shot at getting to the end.
Yeah, I think Drew's a really interesting character. I did not know anything about him prior to meeting him. I mean, he's 68 years old. He's a Survivor super fan. He's a judge. He's here to prove that, like, being older, being a judge, being from West Virginia, apparently, are not things that will hold you back in LRGs and that he shouldn't be judged on. So I also feel obligated to root for Drew because we have the same name. Spoiler alert, he intentionally grabbed my torch at the start of the game just because Drew crew were standing strong. So I feel obligated. Obviously, I'll have my 2 draft picks that we have not talked about yet, but Drew is definitely a rooting interest of me for our namesake.
Drew played Survival Challenge 2023. I believe he was the second person out. But boy, that is one of the hardest games to throw yourself into. elements-wise, physicality. It's been a hot minute since I've watched episodes. I don't remember what went down. I do think that Drew is a player that's going to really flourish if his tribe gets through those first 2 votes, and there's not that paranoid anxiety of keep the tribe strong, which you're in a live rally game. What is strength anyway? So hopefully that is not something that people decide to throw against him, because that would be a shame.
I think if Drew finds a group early on and people that Drew's able to trust quickly or they're vice versa able to trust Drew, I think could land in a decent spot. And also, if you're competitive with Foursquare and spoons, people with competitive spoons are nut jobs. And I'm telling you, they will break your hand off.
That's an emergency room trip.
And I'm telling you, exactly. They will break your hand to get that spoon because they are that competitive. Listen, throw that into a challenge. Let's see how it works out. But I think Drew has upside here.
And I could see him, he said he's a team builder. So if he can really speak encouragement, even to his team, and really kind of ask those big questions and get people rolling, that could really help his tribe do exactly what he needs it to do. Win.
Yep. Only downside I'm seeing for Drew going into the game is even in some of these pregame interviews when these interviews were being done for the get to know me things, every player who's not being interviewed is in a group together. This was before the tribes were divided. And people, I don't remember who it was. It was one of the girly...
Maggie.
Yes.
Maggie
says, I see what Drew's doing. Drew's going around. He's getting to know everybody's names. He's intentionally talking to everybody. Not going to fly. So I hope that for Drew's sake...
Simmer down a little bit, Drew.
They're not onto his social game yet. But it seems like at least Maggie is.
That's a good point.
But now, let's talk about my draft picks, who I will be championing.
You have the 2 most opposite personalities.
I have 2 icons actually, and we're gonna start with Gibble. So Sam Gibble is the youngest person on the cast. Last season we had Brady. This season we have Gibble. Clearly very similar personality. No, I'm just kidding. Gibble knows the game. He hosts his own Survivor Series. I believe they're 2-day games. He knows strategies in and out. He's not afraid to make big moves when they're needed. The only concern about Gibble going into the game is his age. Let's be honest, his age. I mean, men don't have their brains fully developed until they're 25. He's a solid 6 years off of that, and it could easily show up. Gibble was one of the people who played in the challenge game a few days before alongside Eric and Mira, so we'll see if that has any impact on the game. Lauren, what were your feelings on Gibble?
Well, it's difficult because when you are younger, you have a different mindset a lot of the times. However, it can be used to your advantage because you have people out there that are the motherly figure, the fatherly figure that might want to pick you up and have you part of their alliance, part of their grouping, want to look after you. So if you're able to get involved with that, it could benefit your game tremendously. It's just finding that crowd that you can work with right away, unless you run into a situation where they say, you know what, we don't want the youngin here. That's fine. We'll just get rid of the youngin. We don't need it. It's not going to help us. We don't want to listen to, are they still Gen Z at that age? I don't even know what it is. What is it, Gen Z?
I think he's a Gen Z. I think that's what that is.
Perfect. Gen Z. Mind of their own. Different lifestyle than all the other, Here's the thing. I think I will say this. I do not predict first boot whatsoever. I predict, honestly, merge. I'm not going to lie. I think you get to the merge.
No, I predict tied winner with Taylor.
Okay, not that. I'm going to predict the merge. Early merge, I will give you that. So let's see.
Rachel, what do you think about Gibble? You are muted.
Rachel, yeah, you're muted.
Orange hat icon. That's what I said. A little bit sweeter the first time. And I think he would connect well with Mira, right? I feel like I've seen Mira like call him her little brother or something. And they must have played the Challenge Lakes.
They did. They played the challenge together
And
in the
you
one
said
with
that was
Eric
with Eric
a few
too?
days before.
So the disadvantage, I guess, is like you have someone that has a very fresh take on you. But I think it's actually going to be an advantage with him because I think him and Mira, and I can even see Eric working with Gibble. I think Gibble is so stinking smart. He knows this game so well. It's just like, is he going to get ahead of himself? That's what I need. It's also hard for me to call him Gibble. But that's what I need Sam to do. I need him to pace himself. And then if he paces himself and slows it down and then can make calculated decisions, then he makes it to merge. If he gets too excited and gets antsy, that's where I see trouble happening pre-merge.
I have a question. Is that the last name or is it a nickname?
It's a nickname.
Can I get the behind the scenes of that? I just don't know who
I would
Sam is.
love to provide it if I had
met
it.
him as Sam. I met him as Sam, and then all of a sudden he was Gibble, and I don't know.
I also met him as Gibble or as Sam the day before the game, and then on game day, everybody was like, "He's going by Gibble," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Is it like his game persona? Maybe like this is game Gibble.
It's a Pokemon. I do know that. But
anyway,
Steven, what are your thoughts on Gibble?
If you want to know what a Gibble is, here you go.
It's not even wearing an orange hat. This is false impersonation.
He's the wild card of the season for me. I truly don't know what to expect from him. He runs a Survivor game. He knows Survivor in and out, but knowing and playing are two different things. We'll see what happens. I do love his catchphrase of, I know all those giblets out there are watching me, so I look forward to more catchphrase, more hearing about the giblets as the season goes. I truly don't know what to expect.
I am the king of the giblets this season. There you go.
In college, in high school, people call me Gibble. There are multiple people with the exact same name, first and last. So that's just what I went by. So
amazing. Yeah, no, I am the king of the giblets this season, since he's on my draft team. And even though I didn't actively choose him, I was rooting for Gibble going into the season. He was one of the people that I had met prior to the season filming. So I felt obligated to root for him. And I think he's going to be a lot of fun. I think people of his personality type tend to make big swings at things. And that's entertaining TV. So last but not least, by any means, probably the most mentioned person in the pregame interviews, we have Taylor, my other pick. Taylor, I had also met in person before the game. She was on production for Survivor Grand Rapids, which I played in, unfortunately. Sorry. Yeah, she was on production for that. And I love Taylor. She's very experienced. She has a lot of knowledge of other people. She is very approachable. She's very quiet. She's very calculated. And I'm very happy to have her on my team. The more experience a person has in these games, the better they are able to navigate these games. And I think that definitely could ring true for Taylor. I hope it does for the sake of my draft. Steven, tell us about Taylor. There's so much to say.
I was very tempted to pick her, but then having Eric and Taylor on both my team, I would be stunned if both were at the merge together. I think one of the two is going to get clipped pre-merge, but Taylor just really does a good job of learning. There was a Survivor Bloomington mini that happened, this past September, October. And
Yes.
I was talking to Matt, little Matt from this past season. He's like, I should have known better, but I worked with her anyways. Just because like she's just brought me in. She just convinced me that well. And so I think there's a reason why she goes deep. There's a reason why she's won. I do think she has the ability to do that here again, but she's probably another player that's going to really benefit from that first 24 hours of just getting to know people and like working away their misconceptions of her and like getting in deep. And so I think that's going to help her a lot.
I think it's just hard when you're a well-known name in the community. It makes it difficult to get that shield off of you. It does. It really does. If people go into a game watching other games, here's the thing. People watch live games, not necessarily playing a bunch of them, but they follow and know who people are, and it is what it is. I've played one. I know who a heck of a lot of you people are. You have no idea who I am, probably, and that's a-okay with me. But at the same time, how are you able to go into a game and make it a different game for yourself? I do think Taylor has the ability to do that, though. I think if Taylor gets with the correct people, can progress well in this game. However, it comes down to the cast and who's on the cast. As we always say, every cast is different. You could do really well with one and terrible with another. It's just the mixing and matching of people, the mixing and matching of personalities. I think Taylor is probably not an early boot, but I don't foresee Taylor going necessarily the furthest in the game as she could because of the reputation. Now, people can prove you wrong many times, and I think Taylor could have that edge and the potential to change up the game a little bit where it needs fit and go far in the game. It's just going to come down to how is the cast reaction to it.
Yeah, I also think it's important to point out that Taylor has very strong connections with John V. They're dating, and obviously John would be able to give her some insight on like how Bloomington specifically works, having just experienced it the prior season. I also am obsessed with Joelle's comment that Taylor is in a Kim Possible cosplay in this picture, which sent me to the moon when I read it. Rachel, what do you think about Taylor?
Again, statistically, I want her on my draft because she goes so deep. But I always wonder, like, how does she get so far? How does she get so far over and over and over again? I've not played with her. I haven't. The only thing I've seen her in a little bit is that Lake House mini, which was after the fact of season 7 anyway. But she does have just a calm personality, and in a game of chaos, don't you want calm? And that's similar to some, like, we only have a few calm personalities in this cast. Like they're mostly big and mostly bubbly and loud. And so if I want someone, like, that's what she can bring to the table. If people can dare to overlook all the experience, she has a lot. If she can just calmly get in people's ears and build trust and say the right things, she can get eyes on other people before they start looking at her. And she's really good at challenges too, right?
She was in the running. Wasn't she in the running at the LRG Awards for like one of the best challenge performers?
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, if she can get to merge and go on a challenge, like an immunity run, it's not unheard of that somehow she lands at the end again. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Real fast, just let's remind that Rachel, a player from the Chaos Tribe from a season called Order versus Chaos, is endorsing Order right now. So let it be known that is the better trait and quality to have.
And I'm calm, loyal, nice. Future reference.
Are you guys able to see the draft screen? There we go. Lovely.
Yeah, you want to zoom in
drafted. Yes, these are our starting tribes, of course, who has drafted who, and of course the last two people who I stan being with me. Of course, I'll have confessionals, voting chart, and player of the week, which we'll be going over after each episode here on the LRG podcast. One last thing I believe Casey wanted us to talk about before we end is the season is called Mischief Makers. What do we think that means? What does that entail? I don't know. Rachel, as the outgoing champion,
I have a thought. I have no idea if it's right. But
go on.
what if there are incentives to creating mischief? Like, what if, and if this isn't it, then Casey, you should do this next season. But, like, what if there's incentive to causing an issue or a drama or like a domino effect situation? Like, you earn a key if you do something that causes, it's a risk though to cause mischief. No one likes a mischief maker. We want predictability. We want control.
No. As a viewer, we love mischief.
As a viewer,
we love it.
as a player, there's risk involved to creating drama. But is the risk worth it if you get something in return?
Lauren, what would you think if you were told, hey, you're on this season, here's your tribes. By the way, the season's called Mischief Makers. Figure out what that means.
I'm keeping my eyes on the ones. Are you throwing a challenge? Because if you are to get something, you're going home. And I'm telling you right now, people will be subtle about doing that. And it could backfire if you have people having eyes on you. Because I'll tell you, people will do something for an idol. Oh, I have to throw a challenge or look like I'm doing it incorrectly. Oh, yeah. I have my eyes on those people.
Note to self, do not be on a tribe with Lauren. Heard. Steven, you're known for your chaotic and no, I'm just kidding. Steven, tell us about what do you think about Mischief Makers? What could that mean for the season?
I expect there to be a lot of cross-tribal interaction at play with those advantages. So I expect however they work, it's going to be more than just doing something in your tribe. It's going to have some impact on the other tribe as well. That's my guess.
Amazing. Well, either way, I'm sorry, that sounded sarcastic, but it really wasn't. Oh, that sounded so dismissive. I'm really sorry. I'm only fake.
It's like you already know what they are, Drew. How can that be?
I promise I'm not actually rude. I just pretend to be. This was so much fun. We went significantly longer than we planned to, but we had fun, and we're going to check in for sure with Rachel and Lauren at different points through the season. Probably have like a mid-season check-in, and then maybe we'll figure out what we're going to do for the finale. Steven and I don't plan further than like 2 weeks in advance.
Ours effort.
Yeah. But Steven and I will be with you for the season. I'm excited to see reactions from everyone, all of our guests, from Steven especially, get to hear from some of our players. It's going to be a really entertaining season, getting to experience it from a perspective behind the camera, getting to see kind of the full breadth of everything was a lot of fun. Casey knows what he's doing, and he's going to deliver to us a really good season. This cast knew what they were doing in the entertainment department, in the strategy department. Everything is going to be so good. So tune in on February 22nd. I believe that's a Saturday for the first episode. And stay up to date with live reality games on, I don't know what social networks we're on anymore. YouTube, Facebook. I don't have any of them anymore. Steven, tell us where we can keep up with LRG.
Yeah. If you want to follow more about live reality games, you can follow the Facebook page. On Instagram, you can follow LRG_casting, where Surviving Bloomington alumni, Melanie Bartlett, posts all about any new and upcoming games or any games that are currently casting. You can also find all our episodes on YouTube, as well as any podcast app you have. We will be there.
Awesome. Well, until we reconvene in a couple of weeks, remember to like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, all of the words, the social media words. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Also, season 8 of Surviving Bloomington begins casting on March 1st. So make sure you follow the Facebook and the Instagram pages for that, or get in touch with somebody who's played before. They'll have access to KC and they can send you the information. We love new players. If you've never played an LRG, please reach out to somebody who you know who has, or Live Reality Games itself, and they'll connect you in. I will be on production for season 8, and hopefully some of these other people will be too, and it'll be a blast. Steven, anything to close us off before we leave?
No. Have a good night, everyone.